to build things.
I know I haven't been here before, but I kind of get the feeling that I have. I've seen this place before. Wow. It's mind-blowing. We're taking something in a video game and using that to create things in real life. We're actually changing the world.
For the first time in history, more people live in cities than in the rural world. By 2050, over 1/3 of people on Earth will live in barrios, favelas, shantytowns and slums. Getting community members, particularly young people, engaged in planning and talking about their cities is thought to be the best way of creating sustainable urban environments. But in many societies, this has proved easier said than done. Our story starts back in 2011 in Sweden with an 11-year-old gamer.
För ungefär 5 år sedan så stod det klart att miljonprogramsområdena här i Sverige var i akut behov av renovering. Både tekniskt, för husen var nedslitna, men också socialt eftersom det fanns stora problem med kriminalitet och utanförskap i de här områdena. Så därför så ställde en rad fastighetsbolag och byggföretag frågan: kan man utveckla en metod där man involverar de boende i idéer om hur de här områdena kan utvecklas och bli bättre? Och då inte minst ungdomarna. Och när jag funderade på det och pratade om hur det här skulle kunna gå till här hemma så satt min 11-åriga son här vid bordet. Och pekade plötsligt på sin dator och sa: men varför provar ni inte det här?
What it was Minecraft, a game created in 2009 by a guy called Marcus Persson, also known as Notch. The game gives players the freedom to build whatever they want out of basic building blocks. Now run by the Swedish company Mojang, it's become the world's most popular PC game, with a huge worldwide community of millions of players. But could using a game to help people change their own neighborhoods really work?
Dagen efter så ringde jag till Carl Manne, vd då på Mojang, och han tyckte det här var en toppenidé. Och sen var det igång. Och vi såg snabbt att det första vi behövde göra det var att hitta ett par bra gamers som både kunde Minecraft och tyckte det här var ett spännande projekt.
For hardcore gamers and childhood friends, David and Emil, the project came out of the blue.
So the whole thing started out when I was on the train to Stockholm and I was browsing Twitter as usual, and I found this tweet from the CEO of Mojang who said that they had an interesting project using Minecraft as a tool in city planning. That's how we, both of us, were involved in this project. Nej, jag vill inte ha railgun. Nej, de kan inte fortsätta göra så här hela tiden. Neither I or Emil have any formal game development education or anything surrounding gaming at all. We're just gamers who've been involved in a really interesting project. 3, 2, 1. Game over.
Trial projects were organised in suburbs around Stockholm to see if the idea could work.
We had 3 pilot projects: Fisksätra, Drottninghög and Hovsjö. Me and Emil, we build the city, the buildings exactly like they look today, the streets exactly like it looks today in the Minecraft model. And we had our workshop where people that lives in this area, together with the community, changes these models as they want it to be in the future. Minecraft is like digital Lego. You can't simulate things, you can only visualize things. So it's easy to learn, it's easy to understand, and it's not too complicated for the participants or for the people involved with planning the city.
Det här är ett väldigt bra sätt att få in invånarnas och inte minst ungdomarnas åsikter i planeringen av en stad och en stadsdel.
Vi ungdomar ville förändra själva i vår förort. Och vi vill bara att ni ska veta att Fisksätra är ett perfekt exempel för en perfekt förort.
The project's success opened people's eyes to the potential of using games to attract youth to urban issues. The UN quickly saw the potential of the idea, and a partnership with Mojang, the company behind Minecraft, was formed.
Youth are very seldom involved in the processes of planning and talking about their cities. And we came to know about some trial projects that has been done in Sweden, and those trials projects have been very successful. So we thought that maybe that can be brought to other parts of the world.
Vu Bui and Lydia Winters headed the team for Mojang.
The city's been growing at such an incredible rate that the public spaces started to kind of fall to the wayside, which is what usually happens when urban development just kind of goes insane. And so now the people in the communities are realizing, no, we need to have these public spaces. It's incredibly important to our everyday life. I recognize this place. I've only seen it in the game, but it's actually so close to what it looks like, except the work has been done already. So before it had these sort of smaller pillars, and then they changed it so that it was more safe, so that when there's festivals or things, they don't have to worry about anyone falling into the pond.
Without that community participation, you lose that ownership, that sense of this belongs to me, I helped make this. And to see people using the space and seeing that it has affected their lives and made it better was really an amazing moment.
It always surprises me that you can actually get the feel of a place by being in Minecraft, even though there's not nearly as much detail. In the game, when they redesigned it and kind of made it look like this, it actually looks very similar to this now in real life.
Minecraft was helping change people's lives in the real world. Lydia's own life has also been transformed by Minecraft.
It's hard for me to put into words what's happened in the past 4 years for me. I was this scared girl who didn't really know what she wanted to do, and I hated traveling. I was kind of let my anxiety take over so many aspects of my life. And so I had gotten my degree in teaching, and I decided I didn't want to do that. I started dabbling in photography. I was trying kind of anything and everything, and I got really into creating videos.
Hi, I'm Minecraft Chick, and this is my very first daily Minecraft video show.
Some friends of mine recommended the game Minecraft, and I said, I'm not a gamer, I've never played games before, and they were like, well, that will be even better.
Okay, so this is me starting. I don't even know how I walk. That's sad.
My channel became quite popular. People thought it was funny because I was just being silly and kind of commenting on not having any idea what I was doing.
Uh-oh. I was killed. As awful as I was at playing this today, I have to be better tomorrow, right?
And in summer of 2011, I reached out to Mojang and just said, hey, I heard that you're coming to the US. If you need any help with anything, like, please let me know. I'd be happy to help. And expecting kind of an email back, like, sure, you could hand out flyers or, you know, get coffees. And I was totally fine with that. But it ended up that they needed someone to help host a booth that they were having at E3.
Hi, I'm Minecraft Chick, and today I'm going to tell you why I'm having the best day ever!
This is very awesome!
No,
really, this is great! This is way awesome!
This is amazingly awesome. I get to hang out with Notch. Yes, I'm being a stalker, but I don't even care.
That led to them saying, yeah, we want to bring you back with us. Are you interested in taking a job at Mojang? On our way to the airport. Which, of course, I was. Okay, about to go through Security 1 in Tampa.
Love that, baby. Have fun.
Never been on an international flight before. I was so ready to have a different life than the one that I was leading that I just jumped in sort of head first.
So for today, I'm going to show you the Mojang offices. So first of all, you walk in. Here's the hands with money. I don't know what they represent. And then there's the bathroom. Yes, Minecraft blocks. And here's the Minecraft development team.
In 2012, just after Lydia's arrival in Sweden, Mojang's unlikely partnership with the UN began.
It was pretty much the whole office tour. It only takes 4 minutes.
The project was called Block by Block.
I've been involved with Block by Block since the very beginning. At the time, I think we were a 2.5 or 3-year-old company. So we were really excited to start talking to UN Habitat, for them to come to us and want to do a partnership. It was not only a big deal for us, but a big deal for them.
UN Habitat, the branch of the UN that deals with cities and sustainable urbanization, had never done anything like this before, and it was up to new recruit Pontus Westerberg to make it work.
My boss, Thomas Melin, met with the Mojang team, I think back in July 2012 or something like that. I started on the 1st of August, so he just met with them when I started. And I remember he called me into his office and he was like, oh, so I had this conversation with this gaming company, and I think this is something that you should really try to work on.
It's difficult to change the structure that is already existing.
So maybe this one is actually adequate space for public space.
And at the time, we didn't really know, how to do this. It was really learning by doing. I'd never played Minecraft before, so I remember sitting in the office in my first month playing a lot of Minecraft and kind of worrying about people walking around behind me and kind of going, hey, there's this new guy who's just playing video games at work.
All of a sudden, Minecraft was going to be used to change the world and in real life change the space. So it wasn't just going to happen in the game, but we were going to work and fund the projects so that each space, people decide how it's going to be used, and then it actually happens.
And we started off with this project in Kibera, one of the slums here in Nairobi. It seemed like the logical place to test the use of Minecraft.
In red, the line around the field is really a line of a retaining wall.
So we'd had an architect that had produced two-dimensional architectural drawings of the suggested changes, and it was quite clear people were struggling to understand these architectural drawings.
People just weren't understanding, like looking from a top-down view, like what that would actually mean in physical space when you're standing in it. And we thought, okay, turn on the Minecraft. Let's show them what it looks like in Minecraft.
And the school entrance will be here. We could make a pergola, and we could also plant some trees and whatever, right?
And I remember the first workshop that we did, it was like a light bulb came on of all the people in the room.
They were able to instantly click and understand, and you see everyone's face kind of light up like, oh, that pathway goes through there. As soon as they were able to walk around in this three-dimensional Minecraft model, there was real kind of like new energy in the room, and people really started expressing their ideas in a different ways. And like that's when I really realized that we're really onto something.
The idea of using a video game as a tool for creating real-world social change wasn't new. Emerson College's Engagement Lab founder, Eric Gordon, has been following the movement.
In the early 2000s, games became almost like a possibility space. Games were accessible on home computers and easy enough to make, and there was a lot of questioning about how we can use this medium that seemed really accessible, really powerful, and turn it into a kind of instrumental tool where it can be applied to particular aspects of social change and education. In 2004, you had the emergence of an organization called Games for Change, and that was a moment where serious games kind of takes on a new cachet, where all of a sudden people are talking about these serious games, and organizations and branches of government became really intrigued by this possibility and thinking like, no, maybe a game is something that we can make.
Entertainment in general, movies, television, books, have all played some kind of role in raising awareness around issues. But games has a very special feature that a lot of other popular entertainment doesn't have. And that really has to do with the type of engagement that a player has when they are playing the game. You know, unlike television or film, which is more of a passive experience, games take it a step further. You actually can affect change within the game. We're tapping into skills and behaviors that lend themselves well to being part of a story, to being part of a cause, to potentially being part of the solution.
In LA, architect and educator Jose Sanchez has been spending his spare time developing his game, Blockhood. He hopes the game will eventually be used as a tool to help design and build sustainable cities.
Blockhood, it's a video game where you design a neighborhood. The game provides you with many units that compose the city. In that sense, it's a very simple building game. What's behind the scenes of the game, it's a lot of data. So the game is calculating ecological relations. It's calculating how things decay over time. So you slowly start realizing, okay, there's kind of information that is passed among units, and in order to keep your units alive and healthy, you need to be aware of what they need. A tree will need water, an apartment would need electricity, and so on. The very first article we got, they called it Minecraft for real life. What if Minecraft would have data of real objects? What if a solar panel would have the amount of energy that a solar panel produces? What if a wind turbine would actually produce that kind of energy and you could sense that, understand it, and use it for designing a neighborhood? What if everything in that kind of game world would actually map its information to reality? Then people playing, they would be just designing and discovering what could be done in the world. This is downtown LA. This is the kind of view that I get every morning when I wake up. And I think that the life cycle of the city is one of the big inspirations for the game. In Blockhood, you are constantly carving out and building a new city. What would you do if you would pick a block and just have the chance to create anything you want? If you think of the problem of global warming and ecological crisis today, I honestly believe that games as a medium are really defining a new space for addressing these issues and understanding the complexities of this problem. The game really proved to be a much more difficult enterprise than I envisioned. I had not thought of developing a robust software like a game before, and I didn't know how to do it. So for some time, I was really kind of struggling with it. That's the point in which something very personal happened. My brother passed away. entered this stage of pain where I was remembering through lots of the things that we would do together. I was playing video games with him all the time. And we were always with the controllers. We would play like, I don't know, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles together. And we would live all our childhood with video games. That's the language we had. I had a period where I was very, very depressed. I dropped the game for 2 months. I didn't touch it. I was not doing anything. At some point I thought, well, the only thing I can really do is try to dedicate something that I'm working on, something that it means a lot to me, in his memory. I basically rebuilt everything. I had to kind of start from scratch, realizing that things were not working or things have been done in a very messy way. It became like something that I had to do. It was completely obsessive. There was no other option. I would finish this game and I would put it in the market, share it with the community because it's so meaningful for me and it's so important to share this project.
With the work on the first site now complete, the Block by Block team have begun work on a second, more ambitious project.
The first project was finished in about 4 months, and the people in the community were so excited. They were kind of started working on another site and wanted it to be part of the Block by Block program. So now there's this huge area. Trash has just been thrown and no one's able to use the space.
People who live in this area have removed 50 tons of rubbish. Like this whole hillside was covered.
Trash.
And there's still a lot of it left. They want to protect it from encroachment. So if there's more activities and new things being built, then it will not be taken for private land for houses.
Yes. Thank you.
People from different parts of the community, young and old, are participating in the workshop.
When we first started out, we thought to engage young people mainly. Then we did a few projects and we realized that actually the older people were also really interested in what is this Minecraft? Can we get involved? And in some places they almost feel a little bit excluded. So we kind of changed the approach from focusing mainly on young people. We've now started working with all members of the community, people who have never really been asked about their opinion on anything.
And now the workshop will kind of decide what will this space be used for. People have the whole area laid out in a way that they can walk through and kind of see, oh, okay, that's where the temple is, that's where the pond is. And then they can go, hey, we need a light here, and just quickly, with a couple clicks, build something that looks like a light.
Not about going in with your own ideas and trying to fix people's lives. It's about helping enable and inspire them to do it and helping enable them to use the ideas that they already have and make it actually happen in physical form.
The beauty of Block by Block is that it actually puts the decisions in the hands of the people.
Futsal, parking area, nursery, and the children's playground, and the sitting area.
I look forward to hopefully coming back and seeing the park as an amazing place with all of these different ideas implemented. Thank you so much for having us.
Back in Stockholm, and boosted by the success of the Block by Block project, Jürgen started to look for other video games that could take this idea even further.
Vi letade efter ett spel där vi kunde jobba med systemen i en stad, det vill säga trafiksystemen, luftföroreningarna, energiförsörjningen, avloppssystem.
A game that could take on the problems of a modern city in all its complexity.
City Skylines is a city builder where people can build their own cities and they need to deal with everything that goes with building a city.
You're laying down roads, you're solving traffic solutions, you're utilizing services, and you're keeping people happy.
It's basically the same thing as Minecraft when it comes to visualization, but it adds another layer of simulation. It's alive. There are citizens walking around, there are cars driving around. It feels like it's a real town, and it should work as a real town as well.
When Svensk Byggtjänst approached us, we jumped at the opportunity. We thought it sounded like a great way, not only to enforce the fact that games can be so much more than just entertainment, but also because we thought it was a really innovative way of trying to look at problem solving.
The things that we learned really early on was that people love to manage things. When you give them something of their own, like this is your plot of land, they will take it as their own, they will care for it, they want to build things. It's something that's really deep set in humans, that they want to create things, they want to take care of things.
Like many major cities, Stockholm is growing rapidly, and 140,000 new homes are planned by 2030. Jürgen has been given the green light to organize a planning workshop using cities' skylines to help road test the design of a huge redevelopment project, the Royal Seaport.
Just nu håller vi på att förbereda den allra första workshop och medborgardialog med City Skylines som verktyg. Och det är forskare, studenter, samhällsplanerare, politiker och byggnadsingenjörer och intresserad allmänhet att vara med i den här workshopen.
From here, it should be 200 meters.
The redevelopment is one of the largest urban development projects in Europe. And with only a few weeks before the workshop, David and Emil have plenty to do.
So what's your role in it all? We get maps from the city council, and with a ruler I check on my screen and say, okay, this road, it should be 200 meters. And then Emil draws a road 200 meters at that direction, and it just goes on like that. Yeah, nice. It was very interesting when we had our first meeting with Stockholm City Council. We showed them the game, and they entered with a perception that it could be something, but that it would be very limited. It will be interesting to see when it's all over what they think.
The future Royal Seaport is currently an industrial area near Stockholm city centre.
So this area below the hill is where our model is based. Everything will be changed in the future. All these buildings will be replaced with housing and offices. Last time we were here, that forest did not exist in the model, but today it exists. So we have the forest ready. It all relies on the first project. If this fails, everyone else will become much more skeptical. So much depends on it.
As games become more and more technologically advanced, just how these games could be used to help shape our societies is still pretty much unexplored.
I wrote an article for The Guardian about the link between video games and cities and urbanism and how the two are influencing each other. And what I learned quickly was that it really wasn't something that had been sort of systematically written about much at all in the past, which seemed astonishing to me, considering how many simulated cities you find in video games these days. And, it was nice to break open that kind of ground a little bit. I think the gap between simulation and reality is closing. I think that's obvious in terms of the increasing complexity and plausibility of a lot of the video games that are being produced at the moment. I mean, I remember playing the first Grand Theft Auto, and the sort of resolution, wasn't that great. I mean, it seemed amazing at the time, but looking at it in retrospect, it seems kind of clunky. And I think it's not, not just the fact that it's got bigger, but also the fact that the sort of density of simulation has got better.
Jeez, Pop, too much more of that, and maybe I won't be dead by 35.
Cars are moving around, like expensive cars in expensive neighborhoods. People react to people shooting, in crowd mechanics and social mechanics. I do think the city sim style of game is probably directly responsible for a sort of uptake of city planners and people having a sort of exciting, empowered sense of what putting a city together can be and how a city should function. And, several people I spoke to in the article said that playing SimCity at the end of the 80s was a real eye-opening moment for them, because it was the first time that they sort of had this visualization of the city as a kind of system and as an exciting one, and as one that, you, the player, could influence.
It's fun, we've agreed, to build up a city. For those cities have skylines, and boy, are they pretty.
Entertainment-related games like SimCity, City Skylines can be beneficial in the evolution of cities, and I think will have an influence. But the sort of stumbling block, I think, upon which people fall when they think about these video games' influence in real life is just that the rules of these games are there to entertain, and fun is the priority of those games, not education. And, education can happen on the way, and if you were to be interested, especially in how they modelled those cities, then you'd probably learn an awful lot about urban planning, urban zoning, crowd mechanics, crime, all these things that have obviously fed into this game. But it's very much you need to open the hood and look at the engine. You need to want to do that, and most people just want to drive the car.
Holy shit!
Yeah, you see, because the big merger is... Yeah, there is. That one is completely stuck.
The people behind the game, Cities Skylines, are cautious about the idea of people planning the real world with their game.
We've had a lot of interest in it from universities and schools, but simulations we use are fairly simple. And I think it's important the powers that be that use these tools are aware of this and have the knowledge to tweak it and change it to a more realistic outcome. Because if you start planning cities from City Skylines, I'm not sure you will get good cities. It might look like it, and you might be so convinced by the power of the simulation that you think it's the truth, but you really need to sort of tweak it well and deal with it properly for it to work.
Back in LA, Jose's game Blockhood is due to be released in 2 months on the world's biggest online game store, Steam.
Here we go. Let's do it.
Ready?
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Today is the first public playtest of the game, and Jose and his colleague and co-designer Gentaro are nervous. The user response from this playtest will be crucial for the release of the game.
Yeah, come in. Hey. Thank you guys for being here. It's been a year since we started this project. It's the very first time we open it, so we're very nervous to see what you think, if things work. And hopefully what we're trying to do is connect some of the ideas of the game with the real world. How do we allow this game to allow you guys and anybody to think of the problems of the city? When you look at the game, you might think, well, this is not a real building. This is not a real city. It's like how a game can actually help us solve real-world problems. But I honestly believe that individuals playing games could be empowered to solve these problems in the future. What I've always loved about games is that they're not just something that you could do, it's a complete narrative in the sense that they take you from not knowing anything to explaining how variables work, how the game works, what are the problems that you're going to have, and how to overcome those problems. And I thought that that was the medium that would allow anybody, not being an architect or a designer, to start conceiving what are the cities of tomorrow. That's cool. Can you imagine a building like that?
Nope. I don't even know how it's working, but it's working.
Play is an important part of both the artistic process and the scientific process. Often in science we have to make intuitive leaps to make a huge leap forward. So the same might be true with urban planning. It might be that while we could run simulations that are very purely scientific, the big discoveries that we make in the future of how best to construct human societies in the urban environment might be made through discoveries that people make when they're just playing around with the system.
The problems associated with increased urbanization in places like Nairobi are plain to see.
Nairobi, like many other developing cities, faces a lot of social issues related to unsustainable urbanization. You get a lot of kind of unplanned informal settlements all along the highway. Lack of water and sanitation, lack of public transport, no payment for pedestrians, badly maintained roads. A large proportion of the population live in informal settlements. They are not formally planned and not formally serviced by infrastructure for like water and sanitation and electricity.
Pontus is hopeful that a new block-by-block project in Dandora, one of Nairobi's poorest areas, might be a way to get the local community more engaged in improving their living conditions.
We're just now turning toward Dandora, where we're going. This area here, you can see the street. It has very limited street lights. It's not paved, so whenever it rains, it gets really muddy. So it's difficult to get around. Big security issues, particularly at night. So the project that we're working on is upgrading these streets around the area. Streets are really, really important public space. Sometimes the most important public space. I mean, you can see around here that there are a lot of people out on the streets, children playing games and so on, but there's a lot of rubbish. The sewage system doesn't work properly. There's a lot of mud. The idea with the project is to upgrade the street network around this area. How are you? Abayako? No.
Bigger vehicle cannot access.
Ah, okay. So you don't want the big bus or the lorry to come in or anything like that, yeah?
Yeah, we don't.
Even a car cannot come in, or?
No,
a small car?
Yes, just small cars.
Okay. I love working with people in different parts of the world and seeing how we can get their voices and empower them to have an input into these urban planning processes. Minecraft is never going to replace technical design tools, but as a sketch tool, as a communication tool, as a community engagement tool, it's fantastic. You know, people can learn it really quickly. They can really start visualizing their ideas, you know, within a couple of hours, even with very limited computer knowledge, and that really builds their confidence to become part of this debate.
We will start from here. Actually, this is not only a playing ground, but it's also a resting place. We have a large vast of land here where we can plant some trees.
Since we started this initiative, the youth are ready to transform. They're engaging in these activities to transform the neighborhood. And it doesn't end with beautifying and cleaning the estate. It transforms even that, the mind, the heart, the spaces We need that complete paradigm shift in Dandora. You change Dandora, you change Nairobi, you change Kenya, you change Africa, you change the entire world. It all starts here.
Despite the success of several block-by-block projects in places like Nepal and Nairobi, the team at Mojang want the idea to expand even further.
Block by block is an amazing concept, but it's how do we actually take it around the world so that it's not in small pockets, but that households actually understand what it is and know about it. And right now, our community, some people might have heard something about it when we do a small fundraiser, but it's not the large-scale community that we have actually understanding what it is.
They've decided to use this year's annual Minecraft convention, or Minecon, to try and boost the profile of Block by Block.
How was the flight over from Barcelona?
Fine.
We can't do it in a time by itself and basically say that people have to go to it. So, you know, I think it's...
try to do our best to put it at a time when there's not major competition. So if we do have a slot like that, then we can put Block by Block in that time so that maybe it would generate more interest. Right now, it's not quite as... It's not out there. It really isn't. People still don't know what it is.
There you go. There you go. Have a wonderful Minecon. Hi, guys. Oh, everyone here loves Minecraft, so they want to see anyone that has anything to do with it. If I was wearing my badge, probably more people would be like, I don't even know who you are, but I see a Mojang badge. I want to talk to you.
With over 10,000 Minecraft fans attending, it's a great opportunity. But will the average gamer be interested in Block by Block, or even understand it?
It's a difficult concept to understand. There's elements of you're playing the game, there's elements of it being built in real life, but we're really, really excited to be able to show it.
Minecraft have created a Minecraft community. I don't know how many million players they have, but those guys, they talk to each other.
Hi everyone, how are you? We're using Minecraft as a way to involve young people in urban design projects in developing countries.
When we now are in dialogue with them, that means that there is probably 50 million people that we have a possibility to talk about the importance of public space and town planning.
Block by Block is a joint program between you and Habitat and Mojang.
If you have so many people who are actually convinced that this is an important issue, they are powerful.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming. My name is Pontus Westerberg and I'm the coordinator for the Block by Block program at UN Habitat.
So what is the process here?
I think the whole idea of Block by Block is just incredible. It takes the idea of gaming changing the world and just completely redefining it.
UN Habitat works with cities, city planning. The mandate of UN Habitat is to create sustainable cities in all sorts of different ways. And if we're not ensuring that we're having a conversation and involving all parts of the community, then we're potentially failing in that mission. And gaming, I think, is a way to bring in parts of the community that might not engage with these kind of processes normally.
In LA, it's the day of Blockhood's release, and reviews have started coming in.
City Skylines was last year's breakout urban construction sim, but in 2016, it could all be about blockhood.
To realize that we were like among all these incredible games, like The Last Guardian, you know, Uncharted 4, all these insanely huge projects that are millions of dollars in the making. They have like huge companies behind, and among those, people were starting to look at our game. Obviously, there was a lot of pressure, like in the sense that could we even be among that list? Do we really belong, or was this kind of a little bit of a fluke? Someone is saying, I bought 2 energy drinks so I can wait up tonight. 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
If we press publish now, it's on. It's done.
At this point, we really can't do anything to the game anymore. We just have to trust ourselves that we did everything we can.
We need to figure out a way in which we can train or educate people better to start conceiving what are the cities of tomorrow. And that's, I think, where games can actually have a huge impact.
Okay, let's go ahead. It's 1 minute. I don't know if anybody's waiting, but we're gonna release it anyway. So prepare to release.
Games as a medium are putting this problem in front of a new generation, right? A new generation that feels empowered to affect and interact with the environment around them.
So here we go, guys.
Do it.
The publishing task has been completed. Your application is now visible in the Steam store. Woohoo!
Approved for release.
I honestly believe that many more projects are going to emerge that will bridge that gap between gaming and reality. The connection between a game and reality, it's getting closer and closer.
Wow.
In Stockholm, the day of the city's Skylines workshop has arrived.
Det är första gången vi använder City Skylines. Vi har 50 studenter, unga forskare, arkitekter, samhällsplanerare här idag som tillsammans ska workshoppa kring att använda det här dataspelet som verktyg i stadsplaneringsfrågan.
This will most likely work. Så här har vi då norra Djurgårdsstaden. Så det är det vi ska fokusera på. Det är bortom här och det är bortom här.
I'm really excited to see what results will come out of this workshop, and I think maybe this could set the tone for a lot of other initiatives of this type, where you try to use new technology that innovates and develops quite quickly in solving some of the older problems that we have in society.
Var är närmaste tunnelbanan? Vi kan dra en ny väg. För vi måste ha en väg för att placera ut tunnelbanestationen. We've been adding a lot of bus lanes or bus stops, and we have added more subway stations.
Look how calm this is. There's people walking around, they're all happy.
The workshop is provoking plenty of debate around the new development. And at its heart is a city builder game designed and built for entertainment.
It's not a perfect simulation of reality. Nothing can do that right now. But as a tool, can bring different kinds of people together. People with technical experience, youths that just want to learn, politicians that don't really understand anything about this topic. Everyone can look at the screen, and it's a very easy situation where you can point and click and say, okay, but what happens if you drag that? And that kind of platform for discussion hasn't really previously existed. The game worked perfectly. There's a lot of people are really interested in see where this is going, and so are we.
Yeah. är ju tidigt i en process nu, så vi vet inte exakt hur de här materialen kommer att användas och förvaltas. Men jag hoppas att det här kommer att gå vidare och bli ett sätt som verkligen får medborgare att vara med och bestämma om sina städers framtid.
As we think about the future of cities and we think about the sustainability of urban life, increasingly people are talking about how we can use this medium and turn it into a kind of instrumental tool.
I mean, maybe there haven't been enough of these initiatives yet for there to be a clear sense of how much they can have an effect. But it's certainly true that at the moment, I mean, we're living in a deeply undemocratic time in the urban planning process. And so if gaming or something like that were to shake that up, it'd be very welcome, I think.
We now have the tools that allow a group to imagine alternatives, which we didn't have before.
Since the Minecon event in London, interest in Block by Block has steadily increased, leading to many new projects and a huge new development for the Block by Block team.
Now, just now, we have been approved as a registered 501c3 charity. That's when you start really getting into it and getting the ball rolling on many different things at once. And now we have a whole new set of goals, a whole new direction for what Block by Block can be.
All of a sudden, the world is having Block by Block go all around. It's hard for me to articulate how it feels to get to be part of it. It's beyond what any of us could have ever imagined would happen. I would have never thought that I would be part of something that's actually changing people's lives.